Trong những ngày vừa qua, truyền thông Việt Nam sôi nổi với chủ đề du học sinh về hay ở. Với nhiều người thì vấn đề này đã là quá khứ, bởi quá trình toàn cầu hóa trong thế kỷ 21 đã làm phát sinh một thế hệ công dân toàn cầu mới. Mới đây, Liên Hợp Quốc và UNESCO cũng đã đưa công dân toàn cầu vào chương trình nghị sự. Nhiều tổ chức giáo dục tiên tiến trên thế giới đã bắt đầu xây dựng chương trình giảng dạy, rèn luyện phẩm chất cá nhân cho thế hệ công dân toàn cầu mới. Những vấn đề thú vị này sẽ được VietNamNet trao đổi với giáo sư Carlos Alberto Torres. Ông là chủ tịch chương trình công dân toàn cầu và học tập toàn cầu của UNESCO. Welcome to VietNamNet, Professor Carlos Alberto Torres, and thank you for participating in this roundtable talk today. You have spent long time studying about the global international educations and global citizenship education. So could you tell us how is the world is pushing the target of global citizenship education?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in VietNamNet, and good afternoon to all of those who are listening to this presentation. My apologies, I don't speak Vietnamese, but I'm speaking a language that is not even mine. My mother tongue is Spanish. Yes, I've been working on the question of global citizenship education for a long, long time. It has been a topic well discussed in academic settings, and it has become even more important since the Global Education First Initiative, GEFI, that was launched in 2012. I will say that global citizenship education has three main purposes. The first one, to create the conditions so people live in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we want to pursue happiness. We all want that. Two, to defend the notion of peace. And I have argued in my own writing that is an immaterial treasure of humanity. There is a very old Greek saying that says that at time of peace, the children bury the parents. At time of war, the parents bury the children. Peace is fundamental. And finally, an education for sustainable development will allow us to prevent that predatory cultures affect the planet. It's our only home. That's the reason that the idea of global citizenship implies protecting the planet as our only home.
But so what is the value and skill that a global citizen needs to have?
First, a vision. The global citizen has a vision of the globe as we are all the same citizen. We are citizens of humanity. Second, global consciousness. We have to teach our children and our grandchildren that we are not isolated in this world. We are not isolated. We are part of a conglomerate of people. You know why? Because what defines today citizenship is diversity. We are in Vietnam, a society with a diversity of ethnic groups, a diversity of languages. There is a national language, a diversity of languages. We are here in Vietnam, in VietNamNet, speaking in English. So we really have a notion of a globe that is becoming our only home. Finally, when I add to this idea of a collective consciousness, when I add to this idea of collective responsibilities and rights, I am looking at crises that need to be addressed. Today, we are witnessing in some part of the world, mostly in Europe now, a crisis around immigration. We need to understand that global citizenship education is about human rights. And people who may not be citizens of a particular place, in the moment that they are facing a big crisis, they need to be protected. We really need to extend our hand, our solidarity.
You know, in Vietnam, when our economy develops, the gap between the rich and the poor is also widened, and it's also the problem of Vietnam. So do you think that in the future what Vietnam could do to do more in educating their citizens to become more global, as you said?
Well, if you see in the US real estate, when you are going to buy a house, the real estate agent will tell you 3 words: location, location, location. What marks the quality of a place is the location. In the world system, if you ask me what are the 3 words, I will say education, education, education. In other terms, what Vietnam has to do is to continue investing in education. And in this process of investing in education, Vietnam should make sure that the Vietnamese schools and universities are among the best universities and among the best schools in the world. To do that, not only you need an investment, you need a vision, and you need a model of reform. We live in a society that there are 3 concepts that we cannot escape. This is a traditional joke, but a real one. The first concept is death. Our days are numbered. You and I will die at some point, and everybody listen to us. You cannot escape death. Death, you will die. The second thing that you cannot escape is paying taxes. You have to pay taxes. Everywhere in the world you pay taxes. You know what is the third thing you will never escape? An educational reform. In your lifetime, there will be more than one educational reform. Maybe Vietnam is ready for an educational reform to project the gains of the economic development and to move forward in securing an important position in the history of Asia and in the history of the world.
Educational reform in Vietnam, you know, for more than 30 years, we are always in the situations of educational reform. Yeah, you know, but sometimes it does not lead to the way we want, but yeah, we are try our best to do that. And I will give you an example. There is a Vietnamese mother who is never been overseas in her life, and she lives in an environment that people around her don't talk English. So could you give her an advice to educate her children to become a global citizen?
That is a very important question. Yeah. We already have, through mass media, access through television programs which are not produced in Vietnam. What is the image of beauty? Is the Vietnamese woman? Is the Vietnamese man? Or is the Los Angeles blonde woman and the athletic men in Malibu, close to where I live? The images beaming through television construct all sorts of principles. And one of them is about beauty. So what I will say first and foremost, we are already being bombarded by all sorts of messages of what is just, of what is beautiful, of what is correct, of what is right. So we do have already in the process of just watching TV, going through the internet, we have enough material out there to begin to understand the complexities of daily life today. What shall I say to the young mother who has children and hope the best for their children? The first thing I will say is make sure that your children speak the vernacular of your group, social group, and the vernacular of the country, but also that they become bilingual, at least in English, because that gives them opportunities that otherwise will not have. And if they learn a second language or second language acquisition at very early age, they will be able to be more proficient than if you learn, as I did, at 30. Second element that I will say, expand your horizon. You are now experimented, whether you recognize it or not, a dialectic between the global and the local. You seem to live in the local, but you are constantly bombarded by images, by principles, by all sorts of things which are not particularly local. So what happened with globalization is to make aware to the mothers and the fathers that what happened thousands of miles from here modify what's happening here at the moment, and what happened here at the moment modifies what happened thousands of miles away. In other terms, they have to have a collective vision, a notion of social consciousness which is planetarian. And let the children explain to them how they have connected through the internet, through games that they play, with the digital culture. Because one of the great elements that transforms societies, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, is the digital culture. And what is fascinating, and I have a joke that I do every time I'm teaching, there is a problem in the PowerPoint and people don't know how to restart a computer. My joke is, let's call a 12-year-old kid to solve this problem.
Yeah. And you know, there are some more like smaller thing in the process of Vietnam integrate into the world. Like when the Vietnamese worker, they work for foreign companies, or when the Vietnamese worker, they work overseas, the foreign boss always complains about the discipline of Vietnamese people. Yeah, they don't have habit to follow the discipline, or they don't have habit to queue when they buy something or get into some place. So do you think that that is important for Vietnamese people to train that when they want to become a global citizen?
Discipline is essential. And discipline can be learned. There are people who are naturally disciplined. Think of sports. You have a body, right? In a sport, you test your body. You put it to the limits. Why? Because you want to compete. In order to compete, you have to exercise a discipline. And if you don't have that discipline, you will not be able to compete. Athletes know this. They train for many hours. They do exercise. They eat properly. They drink properly. That is discipline. The same with any worker. The same with anyone. In other terms, discipline is quintessential to the construction of thought. The most systematic thought that scholars have produced have always been through discipline. You have to be disciplined. Let me finish with an anecdote about philosophy. I love philosophy. You know, Kant, everybody knows Kant, the great philosopher of the Enlightenment, Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant was so disciplined that he will work in his studio. His studio has a ladder. He will lower the ladder and people will bring him food. Then he will raise the ladder so nobody will go and bother him. But at a certain time in the evening, he will lower the ladder and go for a walk. You know what people in the city will do? When they see Kant, they will look at their watches and put it at 5 p.m. Because this was a disciplined man that will do his afternoon walk at 5 p.m. A philosopher who had an extraordinary mental discipline had also the discipline of taking his walk at certain time, always the same. Discipline is not boring. Discipline is essential. I am a very good writer. You know how I obtained that? By writing and writing until I was pleased with my own writing. But it took thousands of pages until I finished that exercise.